This app mainly consists of your personal newsfeed, then we have a list of contacts and a space for your own profile. Initially, it is pretty much empty, so for the average user, it can suggest a couple of profiles for you. And this list is now based on the Kickstart initiative I mentioned earlier. But I want to start our tour a little bit different. Let's assume Acme Corp has manually created a profile and uploaded it to their web server, as we can see here on the left-hand side. I can now add this profile to my contact list with this plus button here. So I can either enter the profile URI manually or scan it in from a QR code, for example from a product or an invoice. For now, let me just paste in the URI here and follow it. You can see the profile URI being resolved, so we can see the profile picture, name and short description here. From here I can now open this profile and then we can see Acme Corp's latest updates. These updates are again based on a handcrafted manual list of posts, as we can see here on the left-hand side, with one photo post and one text post. The list of friends, as you know, is a set of profile references which are again resolved here to the profile, so we can see them appearing here with a picture and a name. Then on the Info tab you can find Acme's email address, some longer about text, position on a map, and here at the bottom the profile URI I have just entered. Above the map you can see another profile reference to the location. So from here I can now directly jump to London's profile, and then on the Info tab we can see the website, longer about text, position on the map, and at the bottom also the profile URI. Here we can see that this profile is on a different domain, and it is actually one of these testbed profiles I mentioned earlier. So this app is collecting information from different servers across the internet and displaying the information in one consistent UI. Just like the World Wide Web, and this app is like a web browser. We can go back to Acme's friends list, and here we can find Jane Doe. So if we now jump to her profile, we can see that she has just published one post, and so far she has no friends yet and is barely publishing any information about herself. In the profile URI we can see that this profile is again sitting on a different domain. From here I can now directly follow her profile, and this is pretty much a harmless operation. It only takes place on your local device and is not server based. Now let's go back, and we can now see her profile appearing in the list of profiles I'm following. When we take a look at the newsfeed, we can see the effect of following profiles. This newsfeed is a federated list of posts from all profiles I follow. And this list is purely ordered by date. There is no additional content like recommended post. No posts are filtered out, and there's no algorithm optimizing this list to keep me active for as long as possible. And if you're not happy with this newsfeed, then you can build your own app, so the entire protocol is open and all information is accessible. Instead of entering a profile URI manually, you can also use an app link. So here I have prepared a page in Safari with one app link to one of these testbed profiles. When I tap this app link now, then we can see this profile being opened in the HeyFolks app, and we can now use this for a more realistic view of a social network. So here we can find multiple different post types, like a photo post here, some text posts. We can see that some posts have a reference to a city as their place, and we can also see posts originating from a different profile which are published here. Also, when we take a look at the friends list, we can see a more realistic set of friends, and we can use this now to hop through the social graph. So from here I can jump to the next profile, look at the friends list, and then from here jump again to the next profile. When we take a look at the Info tab, we can see the profile URI for each of these profiles. Next to the profile URI, we also have a button where I can share such an app link and, for example, send it via Instant Messenger or just copy paste it to a different application. Now I'm convinced and I want to set up my own profile. I can do it directly here and set up a new profile. First, I need to decide for a name like John Doe and some short info like hello world. And then I can select a profile picture, but I don't have to, so I can just skip this step. And now, as a last step, I need to select a service provider to host my profile. The HeyFolks app comes with a curated list of providers, of suggested providers, but I can always select a custom service provider. Over the weekend, I have quickly implemented a service provider myself as a Spring Boot app running here on my local machine. So I can just enter spxp.example.com. And this provider now has to support the service provider extension. It is then walking me through a registration process where I can select the slug for my profile URI, and I'm just happy with the suggestion here, so I just register, and now we can see my own profile with my profile URI. If I open this profile URI in a browser, then you can see that this app has set up a new signing key for me and compiled this profile document based on the information that I have just provided. I can now change my profile and add more information to it. For example, I can also set a gender and select this one here, and I can also enter a website like example.com. And then we can take a look at this profile document again, and we can now see that gender and website have been added to this profile. Next to each value, you can see the visibility, and I can change this. So I can set the visibility to only my friends. And now if we take a look at this profile document again, you can see that the gender has disappeared, and instead we have one entry in this private array here. I can do the same for the website, so I can change the visibility only to close friends. And then we can see that we now have two elements appearing in this private array here. One only decryptable by friends, and the other one decryptable by close friends. Now, with my own profile, I can start publishing posts myself. So I can use this plus button on the newsfeed here and just say hello world for everybody. And then I can do another post and just say hello friends, and make this one only visible for my friends. Now, if I open the posts endpoint in a browser, then we can see here these two posts. The first one is the encrypted one, and at the bottom we can see this public text post here. With my own profile, I can now also start to connect with others. So let's go to Jane's profile again, and here we can find this connect button. First, we need to choose what visibility we want to give to her, and let's choose to make all content accessible to her. And then we can choose what contributions she can make to our profile, and let's just give her full permissions and then connect. Now you can see this app preparing this connection and sending the connection request, and now we need to wait for Jane's response. Now on Jane's device, we can see that in this profile we have a lot more information than we can initially publicly see. If we take a look at the contacts list, we can see John's connection request coming in. From here, we can now directly decide to accept or reject this request, or we can open the profile to get a better impression if we want to accept or not. We can take a look at the posts, for example, and then make our decision. If we want to accept this request, then we need to decide which information should be available to John and what contributions he can make on our profile, and then accept this request. Now you can see the phone setting up the connection, and we are now connected with John as close friends. Back on John's device, we can notice a changed border color around Jane's profile picture, indicating a connection. When we open this profile, you can now see a lot more posts than we've been able to see before, now that we are connected. Also in the Friends tab, we can find John's profile, and we can see here that we are now connected, and we can discover a lot more information here than we've been able to see before. We are also able now to contribute to Jane's profile and say something like hello to Jane and all of her friends. And when we post this, you can see that this contribution appears on Jane's profile, but it is referencing John's profile as the original author. Also underneath each post, you can find these buttons, for example, to like this picture, or we can take a look at the comments and then add a new comment and say something like how nice, and add this comment, and you can see that all of these contributions are always referencing John's profile as the original author. But this is a problem now, because as you know, we are hosting John's profile on my custom service provider I'm running here locally. So nobody outside of my local network will be able to access this profile. just as we can see here in the profile URI on spxp.example.com. I could start a new profile, but to keep my connections, I now can migrate this profile to a different provider. First, I need to acknowledge this text here, and then this time I choose one of the suggested service providers where I need to go through the registration dialog again. I'm happy with the proposed profile URI, so I just register. And now if you scroll up, you can see this new profile URI and that we've been migrated to a new service provider. Under the old profile URI, clients can now find this document with a reference to the new profile URI. So they can then update their internal state after they discover this change. But what happens if the old provider is not cooperative or not accessible anymore, as in our case? Well, you know that a profile is uniquely bound to the profile key pair rather than the URI, and we can now make use of this. Here I have an example where Alice has a profile with the description first try. There's one post about setting up a new profile, and we can see here in the profile URI that it is Alice-first-try. Okay, now let's take a look at Bob's profile. And here we can find a contribution from Alice, which is more recent than the information on her profile. And as you know, these contributions come with a reference to her profile, including a profile URI. So HeyFolks app has now been able to update the internal state, and now we can see Alice's profile picture and additional posts, and we can see here that we've now discovered the new profile URI of Alice's profile. So we can make use of the social graph and basically the fact that the profiles surrounding you are typically overlapping with your friend circle to discover new profile URIs after a relocation, in the case the old provider is not accessible anymore. As a last example, I'd like to quickly take a look at this famous sailing club where we don't have any posts, and I just want to start a connection. And in this case, this famous sailing club also has set up a custom service provider, though they are now walking us through this login dialog when we try to connect. And they can use this to automatically detect their own members. And as you can see here, then automatically drives this connection process so that we are now immediately able to see these additional posts. This is a good example how you can use this protocol beyond its intentional use. For example, a news corporation could use this to publish additional news and posts to paying subscribers.